Imagine you're the captain of a merchant vessel. On the horizon, a pirate ship. But something is wrong. There are no shouts, no chaos. You see their captain lazily adjust his hat, and in that same instant, the enemy ship executes a perfect, deadly maneuver. Your crew is in a panic, while the pirates act as a single organism without a single word. You weren't defeated by steel, but by information. And today, we're going to crack their code. This is a stark contrast to a typical naval battle, which historian Marcus Rediker describes as a deafening, chaotic symphony of destruction. The pirates, however, turned this chaos into a silent ballet of death, where a single gesture replaced 10 commands, cutting their attack preparation time from minutes to seconds. A band of uneducated cutthroats achieved the coordination of modern special forces. Their weapon was a secret language with 3 levels, from widely known flags to invisible gestures and life-or-death code words. We won't just tell you about this language, we'll give you its dictionary. By the end of this video, you'll understand how one gesture could decide the outcome of a battle, and how one code word could prevent a mutiny. This 3-tiered system isn't fiction. It's a classic communications escalation protocol used in a more complex form today by elite units from the Navy SEALs to the SAS. They, like the pirates, understand that in combat, victory belongs to whoever transmits information faster and more discreetly than the enemy. The first step to understanding their language is to realize why it was necessary at all. A naval battle isn't just chaos, it's an inferno of sound. The roar of cannons, the crack of splintering masts, the screams of the wounded, and the howl of the wind. In this cauldron of noise, a command like "hard to port" is simply drowned out. Voice commands are unreliable, slow, and worst of all, they reveal your intentions to the enemy. The pirates needed a system that worked faster and quieter than the speed of sound. To understand the scale of the problem, a single cannon broadside created sound pressure over 180 decibels. That's louder than a jet taking off right next to your ear. In these conditions, a human scream is like trying to out-whisper a hurricane. Sound simply ceased to be a carrier of information. Their solution was brilliant in its simplicity. Whoever controls the information controls the battle. While the merchant captain was screaming himself hoarse, the pirate captain had already relayed 3 different commands to 3 different groups using a gesture, a flag, and a strike of the bell. This was asymmetrical warfare, where information was the primary weapon. This is a classic case of information superiority. Imagine the merchant captain using an old rotary phone during a thunderstorm, while the pirate captain uses 3 encrypted satellite channels simultaneously. The outcome of the battle is decided before the first shot is even fired. In cognitive psychology, this is related to the cocktail party effect, our innate ability to focus on a single voice in a noisy crowd. But a naval battle isn't a party. It's a sonic assault that completely shatters this mechanism, turning the brain into an overloaded processor, unable to separate signal from noise. This is precisely why they created their 3-tiered system, for long-range, medium-range, and close combat. And the first, most famous level, was actually the most deceptive. Everyone knows the Jolly Roger, but few know it had a twin brother that brought not a threat, but the promise of a swift and painful death. Some historians, like Peter Leeson, believe the term Jolly Roger might be an English corruption of the French Jolie Rouge, pretty red, the name of that very same bloody flag. Perhaps the flag of death was not the brother, but the ancestor of the black flag. The black flag wasn't just a threat, it was a business tool. By raising it, pirates were making a business proposition. We can destroy you, but we'd rather negotiate, surrender without a fight, and we'll only take your cargo. Each captain had their own design, their personal brand of terror. Blackbeard's flag, for instance, wasn't just a picture. A skeleton piercing a bleeding heart with a spear communicated a clear message. Resistance means a quick and agonizing death. Surrender is a chance to live. This is pure economic theory. The pirates minimized their costs, crew losses, and repair expenses by leveraging the psychology of fear. But this offer had an expiration date, which was signaled by the blood-red flag. This was an ultimatum. Negotiations were over. It meant one thing: take no prisoners. Any resistance would be crushed with maximum brutality. If a merchant ship saw the black flag lowered and a red one raised in its place, it was a death sentence. The pirates didn't invent this signal, they stole it from the official naval code of the time. The red flag was a universally accepted international sign for no quarter. They were speaking to their victims in an already understood language of absolute terror, one used even by the Royal Navies. Look at this through the eyes of a merchant captain. You see the black flag, your pulse quickens, but there's hope. You can save your crew. You're about to give the order to strike the sails, but at that moment, the black flag disappears. In its place, a solid red cloth slowly rises. In 1 second, hope is replaced by pure horror. This is a language that breaks the will to fight before the battle even begins. From a psychological standpoint, it's a brilliant move. The abrupt switch from a signal of hope to one of hopelessness induced a cognitive collapse in the enemy crew, paralyzing their ability to make decisions. It was a psychological operation conducted with 2 pieces of cloth. But those were flags for the enemy. Among themselves, they communicated using an entire alphabet. A flag raised on a specific mast could mean, "I see prey." 2 flags, "I need help." A flag with a special pattern, "Meet at the rendezvous point." It was a primitive but effective naval semaphore system. It allowed them to coordinate the actions of an entire flotilla while miles apart. The fleet of Bartholomew Black Bart Roberts, sometimes consisting of 4 or 5 ships, operated as a single squadron precisely because of this system. His articles included a clause punishing disobedience to flag signals with death. This wasn't just a language, it was a law sealed in blood. Flags were effective at a distance, but up close, in the smoke of battle where seconds decide everything, they needed a language the enemy could neither see nor intercept. A language that was literally written into the pirates' body movements. In essence, they switched from an open channel, visible to all, to an encrypted short-range channel. And the key to the encryption wasn't a mathematical algorithm, but collective muscle memory. Imagine, the captain lazily adjusts his hat. To the enemy, it's a gesture of fatigue. To his crew, it's the command to prepare for boarding. The quartermaster spits over the side. Not disgust, but the command to fire the swivel guns. The enemy saw chaos, but they were witnessing a perfectly tuned machine at work. This is a classic example of steganography, the art of hidden communication, where the very existence of a message is not obvious. The enemy saw a pirate adjusting his hat. The crew received an encrypted order. Their alphabet was simple and deadly. A hand on the saber's hilt. Hold position. Do not attack. Tapping a finger on a spyglass. Focus on the enemy captain. Arms crossed over the chest. Cancel the previous command. And a sharp turn with one's back to the enemy wasn't an insult, but a signal for a deceptive maneuver. Every gesture was visible to their own and meant absolutely nothing to outsiders. It's similar to the hand signals of poker players, but with one key difference. In poker, you try to hide involuntary tells. The pirates created a system of voluntary signals disguised as involuntary ones. This was a masterclass in deception. Let's rate this system on a modern special forces scale. Speed, 10 out of 10, faster than any shout. Stealth, 9 out of 10, nearly impossible to decipher from the outside. Reliability, 6 out of 10. And here lies its weakness. It required perfect visibility and iron discipline. One person misses a gesture, and the entire plan collapses. In terms of network theory, it was an effective but fragile centralized topology. The captain was the server, and the crew were clients. If the connection to one client was lost, the whole system risked failure. What about in smoke or at night? Sound, but not shouting. 1 strike on the ship's bell, cease fire. 2 strikes, fire at the sails. A rapid series of strikes. All hands prepare to board. This was their binary system, and the bosun's pipe was their ultrasonic communication channel. Its piercing high-frequency whistle could cut through the roar of a storm and the thunder of cannons far more effectively than any scream. It's not just a whistle. It's a musical instrument capable of producing notes of different pitches and durations, encoding dozens of complex commands. This system allowed them to control the ship. But how did they control the crew? How did they convey complex information, like, "The prisoner is lying under interrogation," or "A mutiny is brewing among the new recruits"? For this, there was a third, most secret level of their language. If flags were public information and gestures were for official use, this level was the equivalent of a top-secret clearance. It was needed to play the most dangerous game, the internal politics aboard a ship, where the price of a mistake wasn't a lost battle, but a knife in the back. Each ship was a microstate with its own dialect that separated veterans from new recruits, or more importantly, from captured sailors forced to work. A simple phrase tossed out in a port tavern could be a password. Asking, "How is Polly?" could mean, "The coast is clear, no soldiers nearby." This is a classic anti-language, a linguistic code created by closed groups, from medieval thieves' guilds to modern hacker communities. Its purpose is not just to hide meaning, but to draw a clear line between us and them. The most critical codes were used right in the heat of battle, spoken in an undertone. "The parrot wants a cracker" could be a signal to a sniper in the rigging that a high-value target, like an officer on the enemy vessel, had appeared. "The rum has spilled" could mean a hull breach in the hold, a signal to send carpenters there without creating a panic among the entire crew. It was an emergency notification protocol for the inner circle, the same way a hospital's code blue is a signal understood only by staff, which avoids alarming patients. This is how pirates manage chaos from within. But the most chilling application of these codes was as a tool of internal power. The captain and quartermaster might have their own separate ciphers. The phrase, "We need to air out the hold," spoken by the captain to a loyal subordinate, could be a secret order to get rid of a mutiny's ringleader. The pirate brotherhood was fragile, and secret language was a tool not only of unity but also of brutal control. This reveals the central paradox of their society. Yes, they elected their captain by vote, but like any political system, a shadow power existed. This language was its instrument, allowing them to bypass formal articles when it was necessary for a leader's survival. The system seems perfect. Flags for long-range combat, gestures for medium range, and words for close quarters. It seems invincible, but it had an Achilles heel. A single factor that could bring this entire brilliant structure crashing down and turn a lightning-fast attack into a bloody slaughter. The pirates created brilliant software for waging war, but this software ran on the most unreliable hardware in the world, the human brain, subject to stress, fear, and fatigue, and any failure of this hardware led to a fatal error in the entire system. Here it is, the fatal flaw. A novice, in the smoke of battle, sees the captain touch the hilt of his saber. To him, it's a signal to attack. He rushes to board, but the command was to hold position. One man breaks formation. The element of surprise is lost. The enemy regroups. The cost of this mistake, dozens of lives. History knows such disasters, like the infamous Charge of the Light Brigade in the Crimean War, where an unclear order sent 600 cavalrymen to their deaths. The pirate system, built on nuances, was doubly vulnerable to such errors. To the captain, it's foolishness deserving of a bullet. To the novice, it's adrenaline and the will to survive. The system demanded not just knowledge, but ice-cold composure. In combat psychology, this is called tunnel vision. The field of view narrows, and the brain sees only the immediate threat. Noticing a captain's gesture with peripheral vision is nearly impossible in such a state. Their language required superhuman control over one's own physiology. Sometimes the enemy was nature itself. A thick fog rendered gestures useless. A squall drowned out the ship's bell. In those moments, the pirate ship reverted from a special forces unit back into a band of marauders. Their main advantage, the communication system, was simply switched off. This may be what doomed Black Bart Roberts. In 1722, his fleet was caught off guard by the HMS Swallow. According to one version, a morning fog and the crew's hangover from a night of drinking completely destroyed their legendary coordination. The elite squadron became an easy target. And yet, their code survived. It outlived the pirates themselves and is at work today in the most unexpected places, from the boardroom to the battlefield. It can be boiled down to 3 timeless rules. Let's call it the Blackbeard Protocol. First, extreme simplicity. Every signal must have one and only one meaning, understandable even in the hell of battle. A red flag means death. Not maybe death, but death. Today, engineers in the military call this the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. Second, contextual flexibility. The pirates intuitively used what is known in business as a multi-channel strategy. They had a channel for every situation, flags for the open sea, gestures for the deck, and words for conspiracy. The system adapted to the environment instead of breaking because of it. And third, a single source of truth. In battle, there cannot be 2 captains. The command comes from one person and is not debated, preventing chaos. In the IT world, this is a fundamental rule that ensures everyone is working from the same version of the plan. This entire brilliant system rested on 2 pillars, and here begins the eternal debate. What was the real key to their success? The well-designed system of signals itself, or the iron, often brutal, discipline that forced obedience under penalty of death? Imagine a race car. Its perfect aerodynamics and engine are the system. But without top-tier fuel and a pilot willing to risk it all, it's just an expensive heap of metal at the starting line. The pilot and the fuel are the discipline. We want to know your opinion. Write one word in the comments that you think was decisive: system or discipline. Let's see which one gets more votes.